welcome. Did you call me Trump?
I did.
I mean, I am the best Trump there is. I mean, there aren't any better ones than me.
I mean, you just said, trust in me. Like, I'll steer the ship. I'll do the right thing, right? That's sort of what he kind of always said, right? Like,
I don't know.
I'm
I don't
the
keep a
only one who
transcript.
can.
I just play the hits. Yeah. Welcome to Masters.
Should I just go away for another year? Like...
Whoa, who's that? Who is that? Is that Yoga Matt?
Is that Don Jr.? I don't know.
All right, Chuck wants to keep the Trump bit going. All right.
No, I actually don't. I really don't.
Welcome to Masters of Divinity. I'm your moderator, JP, and I'm here with Father Chuck.
Hey.
And Matt.
Yeah, I'm here for real. Like, or is this just voice things cut together to make me sound like I'm here?
It's the Matt soundboard.
We're glad you're here and joining us. We hope you enjoyed our 200th episode. Really great to be recording with Chuck and Matt for the second time this year. All right. You know what? We discussed this, and I think it would be funny if we just came forward. We're recording this episode before the 200th episode.
Yeah.
So it's
before, we got back before we get back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Much like so much of our life, it's a lie. This is actually episode 200, and that will actually be episode 201. But
no, you know what? I just realized it kind of fits actually with the Get Back theme.
Yeah.
Because they did the initially the Get Back project, which morphed into Let It Be, right? Later on, they did it, but they scrapped it because they weren't happy with the final product. So then after Ringo finished filming the Flying Christian, the Magical Christian, once he finished filming that, they went back in the studio and recorded Abbey Road, and Abbey Road was released before Let It Be. So
perfect.
This is our Abbey Road.
Chuck, I was joking about the whole, like, let's do the whole episode now so that we spoiled it because it's a future episode and we're like doing it was a joke.
Well, I think what's really funny is that we totally it definitely feels like we would have done it on purpose, but the reason why is because Matt just couldn't find the time in his 6 months to watch Get Back before recording.
Yeah. Look, you only gave me 9 months between episode recordings. I do not have time.
Wait, has it been 9 months? It hasn't been 9 months. Has it been 9 months?
No, it's been, 9 weeks?
I probably couldn't tell you. Guys, what happened to me is not that dissimilar. Like, I was planning on watching all 3 entries of Get Back before we recorded, and I was going to edit episode 199, which is still not edited. We're going to be 3 episodes in the can. And then I somehow lost track of days and thought that Tuesday was Wednesday. And I was like, oh God, I have 7 hours of the Beatles to watch before we record tomorrow. But then I realized after watching the first episode, I actually have a whole day. So, but I mean, I recovered from my fumble. So I'm kind of the hero in the situation.
Yeah. Why?
Well, actually, maybe that's Chuck because he's actually watched it a long time ago and was like totally prepared. But
why did I come back just to be high-roaded, just to be ignored? Like,
it's fine. So in this episode, we're just gonna do a good old-fashioned RIFF-SESH. It's just your 3 guys hanging out, talking about what's on our mind, perhaps even catching up a little bit.
So much has happened.
A lot has happened. Hopefully by the time this episode comes out, there won't be a nuclear war.
Let's see. I know for sure that like 2 out of 3 of us have had COVID.
Oh, that's what's happened since we've gone. I have caught COVID. Chuck has caught COVID.
What do you think?
Matt is dodging it like Neo in the Matrix. As far as we know.
But not the new Matrix, because he doesn't dodge things.
Okay, all right. That's another thing that happened while we were away. It was the Matrix.
Yeah, the new Matrix came out. What? Spider-Man No Way Home came out.
Spider-Man No Way Home, a movie I still haven't seen. The new Scream. Um,
I haven't seen it either. The entire new Righteous Gemstones.
Righteous Gemstones, Book of Boba Fett,
Miss Maisel.
Miss Maisel, Peacekeeper.
Peacemaker.
Peacemaker, that's right. Peacemaker, yeah. I'm your grandma trying to keep up with all the shows you watch. You watching the Peacekeeper?
Matt had like 5 more kids.
I had 5 more kids that I think. I don't know.
5 you know of.
Yeah, a lot's happened, and it's kind of hard to put it all together. But I don't know. What is on my mind today? Let me tell you what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about how the Beatles recorded their last album before they were 30. That's what I'm thinking about right
now. The entire Beatles career was like 10 years.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna ever like be over that, because I used to get really kind of anxious over the fact that Orson Welles made Citizen Kane when he was 26 years old. And I came upon that. I learned that when I was like, I think like 22. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I've only got 4 years. But I don't know. Like, I feel like, speaking as an artist who never really came into his own, I feel like there's so much pressure that we all need to be like prodigious, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That we all need to be, you have to be a prodigy or else you're not like a real artist. And like, that's what everyone, I mean, I think it's cool that the Beatles did all that before they were 30, and Orson Welles made Citizen Kane at 26, in a time when like making anything was like impossible, you know? But sometimes I feel like we obsess over it like way too much. And maybe part of the reason why some of us don't make things is because it's like we're kind of rushing it. For one, I can't be this age and make it. And also like, oh, well, I missed my window. I can't really do it now. It's like you have those two opposing forces working against you. Yeah. I think about this a lot, by the way. And I say that because I'm turning 40 soon. I'm not going to say when.
You and me both.
And like, I still haven't really made a movie. I made that one thing for the 48-hour film festival as soon as I graduated college, and I was just like, oh my God, this is going to be my life from now on. Nope. And I still haven't made anything, but I still like kind of hold on to the dream. I could make something someday, I guess. Hopefully, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I think about it too. I think about Willie Nelson didn't become a recording artist himself until he was in his 40s.
That's true. Yeah.
Our creative writing teacher, David Athey, used to say that nobody really has anything worth saying until you're 40 in terms of like as a novelist.
Yeah.
So, you know, we do prioritize the youth.
Yeah.
In our world. And it's as I get older, I kind of realize that that's folly.
Right.
And grasping at the wind, to quote Ecclesiastes.
What do you think, Matt? Do you think about this a lot? I mean, does that ever come to your mind? I mean, you've written a book. Like you've kind of got one up on the both of us.
I think that's spoken like two people that are almost 40. But no, I do. Yes, I think that two things that cause probably the number one cause for lack of accomplishment is the myth of perfection and the myth of having missed my chance.
Yeah.
Instead of just creating and doing and being. Yeah, that's what I think. So like JP, you know, you can still make TikTok videos and be famous. Like
I feel like there was some kind of a famous evangelical.
No, we don't. I don't think there was.
There
wasn't. I don't think there was a Anyone?
Was it episode 12 of our show?
Well, let's see. Let's start by seeing if he can get the book title right for the first time in 40 years. What's the book, Chuck?
Which book?
Love God.
From the pastor that we. Huh? What?
Are you talking about? Be Here Now?
Is that the wrong title?
Yeah. That's the wrong title. I love it.
Okay.
So, go ahead.
Is it How to Be Here?
Yes.
That's a song, isn't it? Be Here Now, isn't that a song?
That's why I do that. Yes, Be
Okay.
Here Now. I always confuse it with How to Be Here. Okay. Listen, man.
Sorry,
I
I
don't
just had
own
a
that
thought.
book. I only own that book in digital format. It's not the same.
I just love that little quirk. Like, it's just one of my favorite things, Chuck. So I'm not actually teasing you. I just find joy in it. It's like my wife always says verse versa instead of vice versa, which I find ironic to begin with.
That's amazing.
But
Doesn't she also say
funny
Worcestershire
part
sauce?
but yeah, she does. But the funny thing is, she corrects herself in her head every time, because she goes in her head. She goes, "It's vice versa." Nope, I get it right every time. That's like verse versa. And I'm like, no, it's vice versa. And it's you and How to Be Here. It's Be Here Now. You do the same thing in your head. That's why I love it.
Oh, I do it with. Oh gosh, I do it. I'm gonna confess something. I do that with. I've done that with names, and I do this thing where it's like, I know the name is right, but like my confidence level on knowing the name is like where I second guess. It's like they say it's like two names that are similar. So like let's say it's like, like John or Jack, and I'm like, I know it's Jack, but it's like something causes me to like correct in my head, and so I call him John, even though like I knew it was right the first time. Like I can't really explain it, but I've had it happen. I've had it happen in like funerals that I'm leading.
Ooh.
So you get really clever when you just like start finding. This is when your creative writing skills come in.
This
'cause you're
man,
giving a sermon. Yeah.
Great man. This wonderful man.
This man, this father, this friend, this beloved child of God. Yeah.
How many adjectives can I come up with?
Our brother.
That's great. What's weird about me in regards to that, like, and it's gonna sound like I'm making it up, but it's real, and it scares me sometimes.
COVID?
No.
Sorry, carry on.
That does kind of scary.
Sound like you're making it up, but it's never mind.
I won't even get into that. But remember in Monty Python and the Holy Grail, when Arthur keeps getting 5 and 3 mixed up?
Yes.
Since we're gonna count to 5. 3, sir. 3. I do that. Only it's not like in the movie. But like I will literally get 3 and 5 mixed up. I'll write 5 instead of 3. And if someone tells me to get 3 of something, I'll think it's 5. Or if 5 of something, I'll think it's 3. I get 5 and 3s mixed up on like phone numbers.
That's
And like I won't even know I'm doing it. Like sometimes people have to correct me. I'm like, oh, I thought I did. It's like if I said something was 5, like no, it's 3. I'm like I said 3.
I get left and right wrong.
Oh, that's.
But it's totally based off the fact that in my head I'm like, right is dominant for most people, so it's like when you turn right, like it's your dominant direction, but I'm left-handed, so like I do this thing where I default to dominant, instead of like right or left, and so then I'll say left when I mean right. Yeah,
we're getting old, and you can tell we're getting old.
I've been doing this for a very long time.
In the message I sent to you guys today, when I said we're meeting at 4 my time and 5 my time, confusing poor Charles.
Hey.
And he was like, I'm on that right now. I'm like, 1 hour, man. I'm like, but you said, like, dude, 1 hour. Come on. What's the deal? What's the problem? I'm like, oh, okay. Sorry. My bad.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it's because I had COVID. And now I'm just my brain is just deteriorating. So thank you, Republicans. So Matt, what do I do, Matt? How do I make a movie? Like, how do I? What's
Did you
funny
go to
is
school for this?
oh, that's right. I had that degrees up there.
And you have a phone with a 4K camera in it.
That's true.
And editing software built right in.
Yeah. Well, it's not very good, but
it can it edit a film?
Well,
listen,
not really.
Okay, St. Andrew's School. When I was teaching at St. Andrew's School, middle schoolers went out. Middle schoolers. Okay, I'm gonna emphasize this. Middle
Right.
schoolers.
Yeah. Middle schoolers.
They went out on excursions, educational excursions for the day, and then they came back at the end of that same day.
High schoolers?
Middle school. They went. They came back. They went. They did their excursion. They came back to report on them in the chapel, and one of the students had a fully edited movie with music that she made on the bus coming back from the project using only her phone.
Yeah, but it probably wasn't very
CJP,
good, right?
you missed your chance. Lesson learned.
It wasn't bad.
Well, it's just kind of funny because going back to Rob Bell, like I basically asked him the same question: like, how do you create things? No, I mean it's.
And he gave you a movie.
That's true.
And now that movie is better because it now takes place in Hawaii.
Hey, yeah. Hey, let's do it.
Now we have to finish the movie in Hawaii. That's an excuse right there to do it, JB.
Totally. Well, you said something interesting earlier, Chuck, before we were recording. You said the artists are lazy.
They are lazy.
Yeah.
I should say we are lazy because we're all artists and we're lazy.
I don't know. I feel like I'm more depressed than lazy. But I think laziness.
Potato.
I don't know. It's a strange. I don't know if it's like because I just haven't been sharpening the knives, or because I've experienced so much more of life. I do know that I have gotten better at coming up with ideas. But when it comes time to sit down, and I pull up, the Pages document, and I just see that blinking cursor. Jerry Seinfeld talks about this. He's like, I can't write my jokes on my computer because I see that blinking cursor, and it's like, come on, what do you got? Hurry up, But I even have yellow pads, and that doesn't really help either. So I don't know. I don't know what my deal is. I think it's, and I don't know how to really get out of it. And part of me is wondering, like, is it social media? Is social media zapping my brain so hard that, like,
yes.
But also, is it also watching 20 Marvel films?
You know what? It probably is all of that, right? It's all time suck stuff, right?
Yeah.
I started to realize that I was spending just an inordinate amount of time on my phone, just doing nothing, and all this wonder of life is happening around me. My children are growing and playing, and just and I'm not paying attention to it. I'm sort of passively like, oh, okay. And I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, what does this phone? There's nothing in this that's more important than that.
That's true.
And so I have deleted all social media accounts off my phone. I deleted the news app off my phone because once I deleted Instagram and all that, I started just looking at the news all the time. And I realized it was just making me angry and unhappy. So I deleted the news app off my phone. So now and then the most recent thing I did is I actually put content blocker stuff on my phone, like blocking websites. So like I can't go to crack.com anymore because I used to just go there and just do nothing and get frustrated and how terrible that site has gotten. And so like now like I pretty much go to like the local newspaper website, check the headlines there. And then ever since the war started, I look at CNN and that's it. The rest of my life is life.
Yeah.
So
I don't know, maybe that's it. Cause I've always been told like,
brag.
like the best way.
I still haven't written anything.
Yeah. I mean, I've always been told like the best writers, writers write, but also if you don't have any ideas for writing, don't read other books, but like go live life. Because like that's where your stories come from, right?
You are one of the funniest writers.
Oh, stop
that I
you.
know. And so like I feel like you could really, if you focused on that, you could actually produce some really funny like essays.
Essays, they scare me.
Why do essays scare you?
Essays scare me because I guess because I see them as scholarly, academic, and like I'm not academic at all, And also I haven't written one since like since like college. It's so strange. I feel like I've spent so much of my life just getting the advice when it comes to being creative. I know all these things. Like everything everyone is saying, I know it all, right?
You've got to get it from here, JP, up in your head.
Yeah.
To your that's the Hawaiian word. Like right into your innermost being, your gut.
Yeah.
Where your true self is.
Okay. So having said that, I'm going to improvise a one act for you guys.
Okay.
A one-man show. It all started. I'm not gonna... This is what happens. Like this is a RIFF-SESH, but like I think maybe 90% of our RIFF-SESHs are somewhat planned. Like sometimes I do like have like ideas. Like, okay, I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about that. I don't think I've ever just been like, okay, RIFF-SESH right now. And so like that's why I'm kind of like struggling to just like push thoughts out of my mind. But that's what you have to do. That's what I'm learning. I think that's what this episode's going to be about. Matt, was there a time you had to push thoughts out of your mind? Like I'm trying to right now. No? Okay.
There's nothing I have no thought to push out on that.
Do you think that there's more...
Thought constipation's a real thing.
Yeah. Do you think there's more like pressure on like creative people than there is on people who just like are kind of more career focused? I'm talking about like artists, like to like if they want to like in it, maybe not so much create for a living, but like do you think there's more pressure to be creative than there is to be like a person just like earning a 9-to-5 salary?
I think there's more internal pressure.
Yeah.
I don't think externally people care one way or the other.
But I feel like maybe that's like where the pressure comes from. It's like whatever I do has to kick ass because people don't care. It's like I have to make them care.
I guess. I mean, I know that I sometimes feel this pressure because I've kind of felt it hurt my whole life. It's like, okay, so, like I'm kind of not good, passable, more than passable at a few things in life. Like I'm a good writer, good preacher, public speaker. I'm okay. I'm okay at surfing, things like that. And so there was always this like sense that I was like growing up that I was like, I have to do something with those things because it's like God gave me these talents. And so you don't want to just stick the talent in the ground. You got to take the risk with it, right? To allude to the parable of the talents. But, but I don't know. I've kind of like, there's things I want to make and I'm kind of slowly working at them. Like I've got probably 2 books finished. I just can't, I'm just too lazy to find a publisher because I don't want to deal with a publisher.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with all that crap.
The whole song and dance. Yeah.
Well, I don't, for me, I'll just say, I don't want to have to give it to an editor and them to be like, this isn't going to sell. So I need you to do like, shut up. You don't know anything. I think about like, so I think I've talked about this before, but like that. So the music professor, my former music professor in seminary wrote a book on like Christian theology in various hymns. And he titled the book after this one particular hymn, and every chapter of the book opens with a line from that hymn, and it's like meant to be like sort of encapsulating whatever. And the publisher was just sort of like, oh yeah, that title's not snappy. So they changed the title to Vital Music for Vital Congregations. And they made it like, try to make it into like a how to use music to make your congregation better. And it's like, that's not what he was writing.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of crap that I just don't want to deal with. And then, but I know that then there's the alternative is self-publishing, as Matt went the self-publishing route. But the problem with the self-publishing route then is then you have to like put it in front of people's faces.
Yeah, you got to do all that publishing stuff yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel very weird about like, hey, read my book. You know?
Right.
Like, that's just me. Like, I don't judge anyone who does. Like, I'm actually quite somewhat envious of people who are like comfortable with that. But like me, I'm like, here's this thing I wrote about a wordless book. You should read it. Here's this thing about aliens getting baptized. This is cool.
Well, you are getting to another thing that kind of bothers me when I'm trying to come up with something is usually like most of my ideas just exist either in my head or on the piece of paper that I wrote. And then like verbalizing it, I'm like, oh, wow, that sounds like shit. Like sometimes there have been times where I'll try to like, I'll love an idea that I've thought of and I've written. And then like someone's like, oh, so what do you write? I'm like, oh, all right, let me pitch it to you. And like halfway through the pitch, I'm like, this sounds like crap. I'm actually hating this now the more I talk about it. But I'm interested in Matt's thoughts because there is another element to it. Like yeah, because there are times where I feel like I am so glad I didn't write this when I was 25 years old. It's, you know, like I'm glad that I didn't pursue that idea back then because it's pretty bad. And also I was 25. I didn't know anything. And also like the person I was back then, definitely not the same person I am now. I'd be kind of embarrassed, to be honest. I think there's like a certain age I got to that like before then I would probably hate now and would probably like tell people like, no, don't watch or read that. That kid had no idea who he was yet. You don't want to meet that person. I'm not even anywhere near that person. I want to know if like do you feel that way at all about like your book, Matt? Like, do you ever go back and visit like, oof, what was I? Ooh, I don't know about that. Or are you just like, no, this is perfect?
No, definitely not perfect. I still can appreciate what I put on the page for the book, but there's definitely things that I've learned since then that I'm like, oh man, I wish I would have wrote that, or I wish I would have said it differently here. But no, I still like the concept and the fact that it's there, and I can appreciate that the where it came from, if that makes any sense. I can still appreciate that, even though, yeah, definitely can look back and go, man, if I hadn't written it then, I could do this now, sort of a thing.
See, that's interesting because the way, I guess the way I'm imagining it is so much more worse than what it would end up being if I'd actually done it. Because the way you're sort of talking about it is the way I feel like a lot of artists and writers talk about like their past work. They're not like embarrassed by it, but they do like, there's a few things that would have changed. Like like Steven Spielberg talking about like Close Encounters. Where he's like, I just wouldn't have had the dad leave. That's it. I was a different person back then. I wanted to get away. Maybe I'm making it worse than it is, and maybe that's why I'm not doing anything.
I'm thinking about this conversation. I'm thinking about your goals and dreams, and I realize that you are doing something amazing.
What?
Man was created in a garden and told to care for it. We were created to be in perfect union with the world itself. I don't know. I'm just reading random passages from Matt's book.
Oh.
I knew it. I knew it. He vanished. He came back, and he's not looking at us. I'm like, oh, he's got the stinking book. He's going to try and prove me wrong. But you know what? I like that part that you're reading. I still like it.
Wait, could you read that again? Because I was like, I was too.
It's a passage about someone that Matt knows that tried to start a composting initiative in Lake Worth. Right? And then...
It's a very Lake Worth thing to do.
Yeah. We were created to be in perfect union with the world itself. She has an understanding that we are meant to care for the planet we have been blessed with. Rather than approach her with judgment, what if someone went to her and said, I believe that what you are doing is right. I believe that we are meant to care for the planet God has given us to live on. Is there any way I can help? So there you go, JP. Like we can say that we believe that what you're doing, whatever it is the right thing to do. So even if you're just mulling over a story in your head, because someday you'll be 50, 60 years old and it's going to emerge and it's going to be like the one thing that you put your entire life into, like Dewey Cox. I don't know. It's a good passage, Matt.
There seems to be a rift in the Beatles.
Totally out of context, first of all.
Well, the thing is, I was just looking for something in here that looked like it had sort of like it related to creativity. So I was just going to read it and see if you caught the reference. I'm not mocking your book. I want you to be aware of that. I am not mocking your book. I was just trying to drop.
I liked it.
There you go.
I wanted to mock checks, but I still don't have one.
Oh, jeez.
I know I fully acknowledge the fact that I am both lazy and probably afraid to put my stuff out there.
Well, there's a flip side to it. There's also a laziness and a fear when it comes to watching or reading your friend's stuff. Because admittedly, I have not read Matt's book. I own it. Probably because I'm a bad friend.
Dude, I had like 9 months and I didn't watch a movie. I can forgive you having 6 or 11 years and not reading a book.
Yeah.
11, yeah.
I mean, if we're being honest, it is a book. I don't read those much.
Oh my gosh. We're looking at War and Peace here.
All
JP.
right. Okay. Yeah. That's
copyright 2011, by the way.
So
21 years.
I'll read it, I promise.
Or 11 years. 11 years.
Is it on Kindle?
It actually is.
Oh, okay. Well, see, then maybe I'll be able to read it then.
Didn't you just say you had a copy?
Yeah, but
the word just came out your mouth.
But
so
I'm saying I
you
probably
need a
have
Kindle
an
edition.
easier time reading it on Kindle. I could just pretend it's someone's Twitter feed.
But have you read Chuck's book?
His manuscript that he sent me specifically so that I can give him my thoughts, and
I would just find it really ironic if somehow you did when a copy didn't exist because he wouldn't publish it.
Oh, geez!
Now you somehow read his, and the one that you had, it would have been great.
Did I send you a copy? Did I send you a copy of that manuscript, Matt?
I believe I got the first chapter or two because we talked about it. One of yours. Which I don't know which one it was. It was the It's Gonna Drive Me Nuts Now. I don't.
And
remember.
Were you part of the? Were you part of the book group? Were you part of the book group back in Florida when we read my thesis on gay marriage?
No, but I think that's what the thing you sent me was.
Queries.
Yes, that's what it was. Straight queries.
Yeah, queries. Straight thoughts on God on what is it? Sex or love, God, love, or God, sex, and same-sex love, something like that. Anyway, so I've written 2 books. I have also a book on evangelism, and they're complete, they're done. They're just sitting on a hard drive. Part of me, I will say, the gay marriage book, I'm terrified to release because I'm terrified of woke Twitter.
Well, I mean, it could work into your favor. It's one of those
you don't have to worry about that whole self-promoting thing you're talking about, because if you put that out there, they'll promote it for you.
Just go on Tucker Carlson or something, Just mix up the audience, right?
Well, but I don't because it's not that because it's a pro-gay marriage book,
right? So
I'm just afraid of friggin' it's I didn't say it the right way. That's who freaks me out, are the people who are supposedly on your side, but you don't do it exactly the right way, and then they drag you for it.
Oh, I know. I mean, that's what happened to Lindsay Ellis for the 6th time, and she had to leave Twitter and YouTube. Actually, she kind of quit her whole career because of it.
Yeah, I don't want that crap in my life.
Well,
so maybe my same-sex marriage book will just probably never see the light of day from a publishing standpoint.
Matt, are you working on anything? Maybe a follow-up to your book, or I don't even know.
No, see, I here's where I'll give Chuck credit. On my end, I wrote the one, published the one, and then I've come up with 6 other ideas that I never even started. So I mean, in theory, who accomplished more? I put one on a piece of paper, but he's written 2. Just saying.
Right.
We just need to start a Masters of Divinity publishing house.
Probably.
And we just put our own shit out.
Something I'm sure would not go south at all. Starting a business in these times.
I know, we just self-publish it and we just put it on our website and give us money. Maybe that's just what we do. We distribute it through our channels, our people.
Hey, just turn it into a blog. How about
No.
You've got the next year planned out. Think about it.
It's a fanzine.
I don't know. And
I got my Alien novel. That's the other one. I'm on writer's block big time with that thing.
Yeah. My writer's block is horrible. Like, I think so much of it, I get so wrapped up in like, you know, does this like represent my identity as an artist? You know, because when Quentin Tarantino makes a movie, it's a Quentin Tarantino movie, right? And it's like, you're just kind of stuck doing that. So it's like, okay, if I make a horror script, right, a slasher, are people just going to be expecting slashers from me? And like, what if I want to make like a detective story? What if I want to make like a romantic comedy? And I've got romantic comedy ideas that I like.
I think what you have to do is you have to establish your right. The idea, as we see it in many modern media, right, is you make a name for yourself in a particular with a particular focus, right? You get known as the horror guy. You get known as the guy who chops up old 70s movies and puts a lot of F words and N words in them. Oh. You get known as that. And then you throw a curveball and you do something unexpected. And I was like, oh, okay. This is his romantic comedy.
Yeah.
Well, that's a perfect segue since I'm known as the guy who's not on the podcast. I have to go.
Aww. Okay, dude.
So I'm making the name from it. And maybe I'll throw a curveball and next time I'll talk the whole time.
Maybe next time we should all get together and talk about the Beatles Get Back. Oh, no, I was trying to play with the whole stupid thing. Anyway, never mind. Bye, Matt. We love you.
Anyway, I'll let you go back to your easy listening with Father Chuck and JP.
Let the echo chamber begin.
Talk to you guys later. Miss you guys.
Miss you too.
All right. See you, dude. Miss you. I think the solution is to write like Stephen King. And by that I say, just take that delete key right off your keyboard. And you don't have to go back or anything. You just let those thoughts come out. Doesn't matter what they are.
He is also a prolific submitter.
Yeah.
Like he submits constantly.
Yeah. He just writes. Like that's all he does. He just writes. And you know, when he wrote Carrie, he was living in a trailer with his wife and his daughter. And he would go into his closet, the only closet they had. He put his typewriter on a sewing table, right? You don't know if you know what a sewing table is. It's like, you know it is. And it wasn't even like a table. He had to put it in his lap.
Right.
And so he's sitting like crisscross applesauce in the closet with this giant typewriter on the sewing table in his lap, writing Carrie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like people like that, like they just do it. They can't do anything else.
Right. Yeah, they have that kind of focus. Well, and then they're also just, you know, there's also, let's just acknowledge the fact that there is a fairly unjust aspect to the publishing world, Hollywood, all of it, because nepotism is rampant. Well, it's like so the Gilded Age, right? So Julian Fellows' new show that's on HBO Max, his Downton Abbey type show that's set in Gilded Age, New York, features a bunch of actors that are like stage actors. They're, you know, other than like Carrie Coon, pretty much, and Carol, whatever her name is, almost no one else on that show. There's like 3 people that have been in stuff. 3 or 4 people that have been in like shows, like movies or TV shows or something. Everybody else is like stage actors. But one of the main characters of the show, this great, you know, up and come, like first thing she's ever done, actress. Turns out she's Meryl Streep's daughter. You know, and it's just so you read that and you're like, oh, of course you're going to get a career.
Right.
I think about like friends of mine just in the priesthood whose dads were priests. or moms, but in most cases their dads were priests, and like they get stuff. You know, and I don't mean that like they get it, like they receive it, but like they also get it, like they know how to navigate things in such a way to get themselves in positions where they get noticed and all of that. And somebody like me who comes in ground floor is just sort of like, okay,
right. There's so many other obstacles. Like speaking as someone like who used to work in the film industry, the one thing that always bugged me, the one gatekeeper that you had to always get past, if you're a screenwriter and you're just like thrown a script at a studio, like through your manager or agent, whatever, and there's some miracle able to get in, the person that the script goes to first is the script reader. And they kind of decide like what sucks, what's worth reading, whatever. And so their whole job is just to read every single script that comes in for their boss, whatever, or executive or studio, whatever. Who do you think is a script reader? It's not an old guy whose career is behind him.
Right.
You know, it's not someone disinterested in the writing craft, right? No, it's another writer.
Yeah.
So like you already have this sort of like biasness where he's like, none of you are getting in. Like, you got to get through me, buddy, while I'm trying to work on my script. You know?
Yeah. Well, and then there's a whole piece of just like some other person who supposedly knows marketing trends will be like, we got to change this or this because nobody's going to read this or write this or read this or watch this or whatever because this is blah, 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 blah. And it's like, at the same time, unaware that audiences are always looking for something new.
Right.
God, and like
that's what makes me upset. Like, I mean, giving something that they want is one thing, but like, just we've completely sacrificed this idea that hey, audiences sometimes like things they've never seen before. Sometimes you can blow their mind that way, you know.
Yeah. I mean, think about Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Yeah.
The show is great. It's huge. There was absolutely no precedent for it to be on television.
Yeah. I mean,
like there wasn't like a whole trend of like there wasn't like a whole trend of like shows about up and coming stand-up comics, much less one who's a Jewish housewife in the 60s.
And it's also kind of like, I mean, just the thought of it, when I hear it, I'm like, oh, great. Like another comedian, a vanity project, you know. We already have enough of those, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not that. It's more about stand-up than it is about like a, you know, like a Curb Your Enthusiasm or something, right?
Well, and also about the culture around the development of stand-up as we understand it today, moving away from these hacky
and also the
things.
history of it, too.
Yeah, because Lenny Bruce plays a big part in it and everything. Yeah. But anyway, all this is to be said, right? Matt's challenge stands, right? Instead of easy listening, echo chamber, JP and Chuck, you just make a friggin' movie.
Well, I mean,
did you watch SNL this past week?
I think I did actually.
Oscar Isaac.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay, his monologue where he showed the video, the movies he made himself.
Right. Yeah.
Just do it, man.
I guess I should. I was
reading... think about. Okay, you're like right now. Let's brainstorm an idea. Let's pitch an idea right now. You were sitting in a room. Okay.
Okay. I'm in a room.
It's your room.
It's
your room. This is your space that you live in right now. Like you write what you know. You film what you know. Right. So you right now, like the one space in your home that is truly yours are the four walls around you. Right. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, right. There's duality to that because it's both sanctuary, but it can also feel like it's trapped because you don't have. Right. This is basically things off of conversations that we've had and things you've said to me in the past. So make a movie, film yourself in your room.
Yeah.
With your four walls, make it something like Parasite or The Room. I don't know, but like play off the fact that it's, you know, I don't know, you can make a movie. You do a whole movie where like just 5 minutes of you talking to the Willem Dafoe painting next to you.
Maybe I should.
You can even superimpose your lips over it and make it look kind of funny.
There is a I don't know if I've talked to you about this, and I wanted to share it on the podcast. there's a YouTube channel. There's a YouTuber, I guess I should say. His name is Joel Haver, and he's a young dude, and his whole thing is that he just makes movies and puts them on YouTube, and some of them are really short. And he's kind of known for doing these animations. He has this like particular animation style that he does. Like it's kind of like a weird cell shading thing, and so he does riffs on like video games and role playing games and stuff. That's kind of how he got famous. But he has made like a handful of feature films that he just posted on YouTube, and I've watched a couple of them, and they're not bad. I mean, they're a bit like they're very unconventional. Like they're not the kind of thing you'd see on a Friday night. I guess I like them because I've worked at film festivals. I love going to film festivals. They're very film festival-y type films. And it's I love watching him just talk, because every now and then he'll do a video where he'll just like speak about what's on his mind. He's like, people keep asking me, now that you're big, because he has like over 1 million followers now. And he's like, now that you're big, are you going to try to break into the real thing, go mainstream, go to Hollywood? And he's like, no. I don't want to go to Hollywood. I don't like Hollywood. I didn't do this to become a Hollywood filmmaker. I am just making what I make.
Right.
And he's like, I've heard all of the instructions of like how to get here and there, make a movie this way with this sort of act structure. And he's like, it's all bull crap. Don't listen to any of it. Don't let people like judge you for not doing it. Just do whatever you want. I would say that people like him are more cinematic than most things that we watch. Because it's, you know, when Martin Scorsese, and I hate to keep bringing this up, but I'm sorry. It was a moment Martin Scorsese like destroyed the internet. When he said that Marvel wasn't cinema, that's what he was trying to say. Was that he and his colleagues had gotten to this stage of cinema history where cinema was, you had an idea and you put it out there without going through all the BS, without all of the crap, without, you know, like you were talking about publishers and how they edit you and tell you like, oh, we need to take this out. That's not a snappy enough heading. Cinema was supposed to be like, you put it out there. That's it. Without anyone, without market trends and IP and all this other crap. So anyway.
Fix me, love them, Christianity as it should be.
It's on Amazon. Check it out.
The thing that I have felt about myself in it is like that the sort of things that I'm wanting to create don't fit into the little boxes that like various media outlets want them to. Like, and I don't mean that in that like I'm a rebel, I can't be defined by labels. I know it sounds that's not what I'm trying to say. It's like, you know, like I realized like when I was writing short fiction in college, I realized that like my stuff was too religious for a secular market, but too like gross or like vulgar for a Christian market. I sort of feel like that, you know, like I want, like I approach, like when I want to try to convey ideas and things, I approach them from very weird places. Like this book on evangelism that I put together that I need to get out. It's little. It's a short little thing. It's probably same as Matt's book. Like not a very big thing at all.
Would it be about the same length as the Prayer of Jabez?
Yes. There you go. I wrote it using the 5 colors of the wordless book as a framing reference. And it's like, okay, well, it's a very Episcopalian book because I'm writing as an Episcopal priest. I'm not going to be anything else, you know, other than that. But it's like Episcopalians don't have any kind of relationship with the wordless book.
Right.
And, you know, Baptists who do have the wordless book don't necessarily have any interest in like what a Episcopalian is going to have to say. So it's just that kind of thing where I'm like, you know, I just don't want to deal with the rigmarole of trying to defend, oh, why did you make this creative choice? Mm-hmm. You know, is this necessary? Can we change it? And then have some idiot who is just like, oh, you know, I really think we should probably change this. It could be better done this way. You know, I used to be an editor too, and I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
Right.
But I do want my stuff out there because I think people would benefit from it.
Well,
maybe that we should commit ourselves. JP, here's what here it is. Here's the deal.
Okay.
We both said we don't. The issue is we don't have deadlines.
Yeah, that's the one issue.
Well, let's create a deadline.
Oh boy. Okay. Am I supposed to make a movie? Is that what I?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to say your job is way easier than mine. You just write something. I have to make a movie. I got to use a camera. I got to use editing.
Then write a script. How about this? We keep it simple.
Okay.
Let's say by end of May.
Okay.
Is that too soon? End of May.
Yeah.
We have completed writings ready to go.
A draft of something.
Well, that's kind of hard for me. I already have, a draft, because that'll force me to finish my novel. So a draft of my novel.
Okay.
By the end of May.
All right.
And here's the deal. How about this? What if we get so risky enough that we say we will put the draft out there through our Masters of Divinity listeners so that we are accountable to someone and that they are like potentially interested
I'm
in what we're doing?
No, let's do it. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll accept that challenge. Challenge accepted, as they used to say in the early 2000 teens on the internet.
End of May.
Okay, end of May. We got it. Yeah, let's do it. Cool. I'm excited.
End of May. All right.
So feature length script from my end.
I don't know if it has to be feature length, but I mean, I'm writing a full novel. Well,
if you're writing a full novel, I should write a feature length. I think that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's basically it's just over 60 pages for me. It'd be 90 pages. I could do 90 pages. Yeah. It's
so funny. 90 pages. You tell my wife you have to write 90 pages in like 3 months, and she would be like, "What?" It takes her like solid 5 minutes to write an email. It's hilarious. She's not a writer.
Yeah.
She came over to my dorm once. We were going out on a date, and I was in seminary, and she came over, and she was going to hang out. She'd finished work early or something, so she's going to come and hang out before we had to go somewhere. And I was like, she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry I came a little early. I hope it's okay." I was like, "That's fine." I said, I just have to write this paper real quick, and then we can go." She said, "You have to write a paper?"
Oh
like, "Yeah, I have to write a paper. Don't worry."
Wow. Paper
Paper was done within an hour, like a 12-page paper or something like that was done within an hour.
Holy crap!
And she was like, "You just did that?" Like, yeah. What? When you write, so I have a question for you for screenwriting. When you write, you really do have to write character dialogue, enter character dialogue, right? Like you have to do that every.
But if you have software, it does it for you. Like you have certain like keystrokes and stuff that you can fiddle with. So you don't have to write it out every single time.
Because anytime I've ever tried to do that, like I just lose my train of thought. I was just like, there's no way I could ever write a script.
That's why the software exists, because it is a huge pain. I mean, people back before but there was software. You had to do it on a typewriter.
Right.
Just imagine that, or handwritten. Like Akira Kurosawa used to handwrite his scripts before he typed them out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay. Because I've thought about this is an idea I've actually thought about running by you every now and then, because I've started to think about, like comic books,
mm-hmm.
and realizing that comic books are made very similar to films.
Yeah.
In that there is a script. The script contains notes on basically camera angles, like what you're looking at.
Kind of. I've noticed that a lot of the writers have different methods. Some of them do it like they're writing a screenplay, and I've seen some scripts of comics that are just like video scripts where it's just like a panel and then text next to it, and it's just like
mm-hmm.
pages of that. So I think it's just whatever you're comfortable with. I don't think there's like a set format that's required, like in film, like you had to do. It's required the format that it's in.
Well, because I was actually thinking about, is there a possibility of taking something like you've written, like you and I just for the heck of it, taking a script that you've written and me trying to adapt it into a comic book form?
Oh, it's yeah.
And just put it out there just for the heck of it.
Sure.
Because I can draw.
Sure.
I don't know, because I thought about, I had this idea a while back for us to do something additional with the podcast called Chuck Treks.
Oh yeah.
We have the Chick Tracks or the Chuck Track. Yeah. So I was thinking about should I just have JP and we should just sit down and hammer out a couple of ideas, and you could kind of basically script them out and I would just draw them.
That's right.
But
yeah, I remember talking about that. Yeah. We could do the Marvel method.
There we go.
The Marvel method. You just do the drawings and I'll fill in the dialogue.
Steve Ditko would just be drawing
Yeah.
whatever on the page, and
and then Stan Lee comes in. Wow, gee willikers.
Excelsior.
They always have that kind of prose.
Yeah, because I think about here's the thing about that kind of stuff too. Because part of me is also like, should we just do freaking vampires that way? Like, should we just do freaking vampires like as a graphic novel?
As a web comic, perhaps.
Yeah, as a webtoon. Well, no, webtoons are usually kind of adult oriented, aren't they?
I don't know. Web comics are a big thing.
Yeah, but hey, before we end, we have to talk about something.
What? What's that?
We have to briefly talk about Righteous Gemstones, but mostly,
yes,
we have to talk about the fact. One, thank you for getting me into that show. But the other is we have to talk about the fact that someone finally filmed your idea on freaking vampires.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I can't. Well, it's not quite mine, but it's still enough to be like, if I did it, they'd be like, JP, you got that from Righteous Gemstones. Like, no, it finally happened.
So, yeah, without spoiling anything, the listeners who may be into that, watching that show and haven't finished it yet, but there's a scene where characters wind up upon a grisly murder scene, and they slip and fall in the dead person's blood and sort of flail around in the blood, have trouble getting up because they keep slipping in the blood. And this was exactly a scene that JP had written for freaking vampires, involving my character and his character after killing their first vampire in a public bathroom. That the vampire, because multiple attempts at using a stake and missing the heart result in just Tarantino-esque volumes of blood being sprayed about this public restroom, and then Todd and Roman slipping and falling on their way out, but very extended sequence. It's the one thing that it is no joke. It's the one thing that I really wish we had actually filmed.
I don't know what I was thinking when I was coming up with this. I'm like, who in the world would let us do this? Like, who's gonna, like, because I had written the scene of it taking place at the time, the gym lobby where those bathrooms are.
Yeah.
And there's a very big lobby. I had envisioned it taking place there. I'm just thinking, like, they wouldn't let me film what we did film in the chapel.
Right.
So there's no way they're gonna be like, hey, I just want to cover the floor in blood. And we're just gonna slip around in it.
Oh, you see, I thought you wanted the slipping around thing. I thought you wanted that scene to take place in the was it that restroom that was in what building was it? Wayneburg, over by the mailboxes, that bathroom over there.
It's been a long time. I don't remember.
Yeah, and none of that stuff's the same anymore now. They've changed everything around at the campus. But but you wanted to do it in the gym. That's fun.
Yeah.
Like in the lobby.
Yeah, we were going to kill the vampire in there, and the blood was going to kind of pouring out from under the door into the lobby. Like, that's how much blood there was.
Yeah.
And so, like, we kill them. We're badasses walking out of the restroom, and then we just fall. Like, we fall off camera, and then you cut to a wide shot of us in the blood, and we're just, like, slowly kind of standing up. Oh, okay. And then we just keep following.
Yeah.
And we're trying to help each other up. We're actually making it worse by grabbing each other and, like, pulling each other down, and, like...
Kind of like there's a great similar scene in Home Sweet Home Alone, the new Home Alone movie that was made this past winter, that was released in Disney Plus this past winter, where the criminal characters, not really criminals, it's Ellie Kemper and I can't remember the other guy's name, and but the kid is frozen in the driveway, and as they're trying to get into the house, they keep slipping and falling on this ice in this very and there's like, you got this great moment. It's like, I've got the balance, and then fall, and somebody's yeah.
It's very it's kind of very silent film sort of, kind of comedy. It was inspired by.
It would have been fun to film. It really would have been fun to film.
It would have been. I don't think anyone would have let us do it in 1,000 years. We'd have to find some guerrilla way of doing it. Can you imagine if we just did it? Like, just pour this corn syrup on the floor right here,
and then just leave and never say anything.
What a way to go out. Like, that's why you were expelled, JP? Yeah. Chuck, that's why you were expelled, because your friend wanted to make a vampire movie and you wanted to slip around the blood.
Hey, man, I as I've mentioned on this podcast before, I quite literally almost died for your art.
Yeah. Thank you. We got the shot. It was good.
I remember I remember my a certain ex-girlfriend of mine that is known to us, of course, who would get quite upset over the fact that I would stay up all night and make movies with you, like during like finals week.
Yeah.
And she would be like, "You should be doing your actual. You worked on your projects." I'm like, "Why would I do that when I can get licked by Onyx upside my face at 3 a.m?"
Oh, that was a time. Gosh. Well, it's fun looking back on that, but I can't help but to feel like a little bit of remorse because I feel like it didn't really, I didn't get to do it, like I don't know. I'm glad we had these memories and they're fun to reminisce on, and I'm super thankful for them. But there's a bittersweetness to it, because I'm not actually making films.
I think about that too. I think about
you don't get to say this on Bravo, like that's
right. Well, no, it's honestly in another world, right? We all would be doing these things because I sometimes think about like maybe Pedro Bustamante really should have been a focus. Like maybe I could have done something with Pedro Bustamante. Yeah, that was the rock band that Keelan and I started. A
couple of tracks on this feed if you want to go back that far.
That's true. Well, acoustic version, not the same as the live performance that we had when. That live performance is beautiful. I will say that was a crowning achievement of my life. You talk about stuff in college that you really were proud of. That was a crowning achievement in my life during my college years because I think I may have mentioned on the episode, Keelan and I, we had to, PBA, of course, is Christian schools. There's all this quality control around like the Battle of the Bands type stuff. So they had us, they required everyone to rehearse their songs before they would let you go on stage. And so Keelan and I we didn't want to bring all of our equipment and set up like a full electric set, and we didn't have our drummer with us and all that. So we just brought 2 acoustic guitars and played our songs for the judges, and they were like, okay. And so they approved us, and then they used that as the justification on where to place us in the show. Well, little known to us is that Battle of the Bands at PBA tended to front load Battle of the Bands with a bunch of like acoustic folk rock singer-songwriter things. Because
there's probably so many of them, right? Like,
so
I'm sure that was like every single.
So many of them. So, and so they stuck us in a slot, assuming that we were also doing acoustic singer-songwriter stuff, having no idea that we were an actual full-on rock outfit.
Nice.
And then so they stuck us. So I just remember someone did like some covers of like, I don't remember who, but it was definitely like a folksy one guy on guitar, singing his singer-songwriter songs. And then we get up there, they call us up, and we plug in, and I did a volume test, and my guitar had a fair amount of distortion. I'll never forget, and it was just like, zhun, zhun. And by this point, everyone in the crowd was sick of singer-songwriters.
Yeah.
And so people were just like, yeah.
I think I remember that.
You were there. Yeah. You wore the only Pedro Bustamante shirt that exists.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we played Lady on My Arm, and it was just so much fun. And that was the one Keelan had on he looked like Prince, and we were like, he had a white ascot on his neck.
That's right.
And his back turned. We had our backs turned to the audience. We slowly turned around as each instrument like kicked in and everything. It was so much fun. The crowd went wild, whatever. And then right after us was some guy doing acoustic praise and worship songs. So they just stuck this rock outfit singing about Lady on My Arm.
Oh gosh, that's funny.
Yeah,
that's pretty.
And then they stuck an acoustic guitar praise and worship guy right after us. And remember, to this day, Keelan and I are like, we kind of feel bad for him because he had to follow up and clearly like we had primed the crowd for more rock music.
Right. Yeah, that's funny. That's great. That was like your Quarrymen era.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. But the thing is like at the same time I can look back and say I did it. I did it. I did these things.
Totally.
That was something my mom used to say when I was a kid. I never understood it now until I'm well into my adulthood, and I'm like, it's really special that I even got to do them at all. But that's why, JP, we are at least setting deadlines to do force ourselves to do something creative.
Totally. And we should have some readings, I think, on an episode.
Ooh, are we gonna sort of turn this into the it's gonna be like the
maybe like open mic night, like.
Oh, there you go. I was thinking more along the lines of like the Inklings, but like just podcast
I mean,
it out.
Same thing. Totally. Yeah.
Could you imagine if podcasting existed when the Inklings were around and like you could listen to a podcast of Tolkien and Lewis and Charles Williams and Madeline Engel and all those people? Dorothy, that would have been amazing.
I think that would be a very funny podcast if someone was like, let's do a podcast as those figures.
Hey, dude, I wish I could get away with doing the Browning and Post's podcast of curiosities.
Yeah.
But there's no way that I could get away with that in my line of work. Because it involves us, of course, having to be a little bit culturally insensitive for the sake of humor.
Yeah.
But no, that would be pretty good. But yeah, we should do. That would be really funny if we just did if we did an episode of our podcast. It's just an open mic night.
I think it would be fun. Let's get some old past guests to come on and share their art. Right. We'll do snaps when they're finished.
There we go. We have Keelan play something. Maybe he's got a guitar and plays something now. Maybe he's written something new.
I think I actually have a copy of the Living Waters review with me. I can read some of my poetry.
I have every Living Waters review that my stuff has appeared in. So
nice.
I've got some of your poetry, I think, in there too.
Yeah, it's in there. My poetry that I don't know how I don't. Athey said he liked it. I'll take your word for it, dude. Like, I don't know. I had no idea what I was doing. That was. I want to say that. Like that is. I think this is a good way to end the podcast. I think that my most creative time was that period of my life when we were in college, because when we were creating stuff, it was for school, but like even when I was also creating things outside of school. I had a notebook that I was just like obsessively writing in.
Mm-hmm.
Like the creative juices were just never stopping. And it was poetry. It was just thoughts, like journals. It was screenplay ideas. It was, fiction, all kinds of stuff. And, I think so much about like, why, like, how come I can't get back to that? And I think it just kind of comes back to just like, when you're in college, you're taken care of, you've got a roof over your head. Mm-hmm. You got food to eat. You don't have to worry so much about a lot of family stuff. And I'm sure there are a lot of college students who maybe kind of struggled throughout college. I'm not trying to downplay that, but like, I had it good. Where the only thing that was occupying my mind was like, just go to school.
Right.
And so it's, I don't know. I feel like we don't really prepare creative people enough to learn how to create and also live life.
Yeah.
It's always like, you either do it or you don't. Sorry.
Right.
And that's when the pressure, like I was saying, to be prodigious, you have to be a prodigy, you have to be a genius at 22 years old.
Yeah, that actually, okay, yeah, because I was thinking about, there's a surfer by the name of everyone calls him Mr. Toots, local Hawaiian surfer. Guy's great surfer.
Right.
He's sponsored. He shapes boards. He's got his own like signature like board shorts with with Birdwell and all this stuff. Anyway, but surfing's not his full-time job.
Right.
He is in fact a janitor at the middle school.
Really?
Near Waikiki. Huh. And it's in the because there was a write-up about him in the Surfer's Journal a couple of years back, and I was blown away. Here's this guy that's one of the best surfers in Waikiki, which is really saying something. And he's a school janitor, and he picked that as his career because he gets summers off so he can travel, and he gets done with school right around, his job is done just a little bit after the students are done, so he can walk down to the beach and surf afterward and all of that. But I mentioned that just simply because like that's one of the few, you don't hear too much about somebody who wrote a screenplay that is also like an accountant.
It's very rare. It happens. They're definitely out there. There's a whole forum of them on Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's I mean it's a miracle if you can do it. You know, it's practically a miracle. And also it has to be good.
Right.
Not just write it, but it's well written and it's a good story and worth selling and worth watching.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, it would just be amazing to see somebody who is like, because like I've always thought it'd be cool. I've always like it was like pastors. Okay, pastors, right? Pastors write books and still stay pastors. Mm-hmm. They make things, projects, whatever. They still, right? That's not their main job. It's ancillary to their main job, arguably. But then again, those pastors aren't going on hospital visits. Those pastors aren't marrying and burying people.
Right.
They've got people on their staff to handle all of that. I mean, you're thinking of, think about your Joel Osteens, your Listens, your Gemstones.
Yeah. The God Squad.
The God Squad. But no, yeah, but you're right though. If you're in a creative environment, like if you go to school for these things, the schools don't do a good job at all for preparing you for what to do with it once you're done. Yeah. Unless you're like basically, because I guess the trajectory is similar to like a professional skateboarder, right? Where it's like you're basically trying to get sponsored while you're doing like amateur competition. So like so college is like amateur hour, right? You're doing your amateur work, but like while you're in school, you're hoping to get noticed by some bigwig so that they'll buy something you make while you're still in school, and you just transition right from there to life in the big leagues somewhere.
Right.
But they don't do anything with, okay, well that moment didn't come for you, so you've got to pay the bills in the meantime.
Right.
And so, but I guess then again, LA is full of people who are waiting tables, just waiting for their moment.
Totally. It's a different world. I mean, I will say that it was easier to write when I was in LA, because you're always like, every time you meet someone new, someone's always trying to get in the industry in LA. So you're always kind of exchanging ideas. Now I'm in Oklahoma. Like, who the hell am I going to talk to about my idea? Like, oh yeah, that's great. Sure, have fun. Whatever.
Yeah, you go down to the Village Inn, and you guys have Village Inns in Oklahoma.
I guess maybe.
You have Waffle House?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Oh, I'm so
but a 7-Eleven would be more applicable. That's where we all hang out.
That's true, I guess. Hey, speaking of 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
I know, like, we got to end this thing, but I'm still talking about crap. Speaking of 7-Eleven, right? So Hawaii 7-Eleven is like this amazing thing. It's very different than other places. So I was reading up on 7-Eleven, and it turns out, JP, that Oklahoma 7-Elevens are owned by a completely different company than all other 7-Elevens.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Is that why they're called Ices and not Slurpees?
Yes.
Interesting. I knew it. I knew there was something off.
I used to get Ices. I used to get Ices at Kmart. So you guys don't have Slurpees at your 7-Elevens?
I think they're called Ices.
Yeah, if you have a Slurpee, then that's a store that's owned by the proper 7-Eleven. But yeah, there's some like shareholder person who bought like a chunk of them back in like some kind of franchise thing back in the 70s or 80s or something, and has held on to them. So like 400 and something 7-Elevens in Oklahoma are completely.
That makes sense.
Disconnected from the bigger corporate model.
It makes sense that they're probably owned by one person, because they've decided to not lease space to dispensaries. So every single dispensary that was next to a 7-Eleven, they're all closed now.
Well, that's a shame.
Yeah.
That's just good synergy.
That's what I'm saying. Like there is a dispensary right next door to our nearby 7-Eleven that I've been going to for 30 years. Dispensary space right there. I'm like, potato chips and weed.
Right.
But no. But it actually has a lot to do with like how Oklahoma has completely screwed up the whole marijuana industry here. And it's gotten completely out of hand.
Did you, by any chance, have you watched the latest South Parks?
No, I haven't. I don't want to watch.
You have to watch the second episode of the newest season. Farms. it might be the best episode involving Token's family that has ever been made.
Nice.
So, all right, done.
Cool. Okay.
Go right.
We've done enough riffing. Join us again last week when we talk about the Beatles Get Back. I'm not sure we're going to do after this one. I don't know. It's a long way from now. This is, yeah.
Maybe we'll. Yeah. Who knows? We might all be conscripted in a war.
Yeah. I got to go edit episode 199.
All right. The one after 199. Oh, that could have been a joke.
All right.
All right. Good journey.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. Join us again next time. Good journey. To stay up to date on new episodes, be sure to subscribe to us wherever podcasts are available, and also our YouTube channel. If you enjoy the show and would like to help us out, be like Mike. Who's Mike? Mike is our very first patron on Patreon. Head on over to patreon.com/Masters of Divinity, where you can be like Mike and become an official member of the Mod Squad. Thanks for listening, and good journey.